Lieutenant Commander Alex Carter rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the sensor screen again. The numbers had to be wrong. Nothing that big could just appear without warning. He checked the readings 3 times, but they stayed the same. A massive ship was sitting at the edge of Empire space, and it should not exist. "Sir, you need to see this," called out Sensor Officer Kim Davis from her station. Her voice carried worry that made Alex's stomach tighten. Alex walked over to her console and stared at the data, streaming across the screen. The unknown vessel measured over 2 kilometers long and showed energy readings that broke their measurement scales. The ship's design appeared in the computer models, but it looked like nothing in their databases. "Run a full scan on all known ship types," Alex ordered. "Check military vessels, cargo ships, even ancient designs from the museum files." Kim's fingers danced over her controls for several minutes. When she finished, she looked up with confusion. Written across her face, "Sir, the computer found no matches. This ship design has never been recorded in our systems." Alex felt cold sweat on his forehead. In 300 years of galactic exploration, the Empire had cataloged every known starship design. Their databases contained information on thousands of different vessels from hundreds of worlds. Finding something completely unknown was supposed to be impossible. "What about the energy signature?" Alex asked. "Can we identify the power source?" "That's the strange part, sir," Kim replied. "The energy output suggests fusion technology, but it's generating power levels that our best reactors can't match. The efficiency readings are off our charts." Alex activated his communication system and called the bridge. "Commander Carter 2. Bridge. I need to speak with Captain Reynolds immediately." Within moments, Captain Lisa Reynolds appeared on his screen. Her sharp blue eyes showed the alert intelligence that had made her one of the Empire's youngest ship commanders. "The situation, Alex, you have an unidentified vessel at Grid 77 Alpha. It's big, it's powerful, and it doesn't match anything in our records," Alex explained quickly. Lisa's expression grew serious. "Send me everything you have. I'm calling a senior staff meeting in 10 minutes. The briefing room filled quickly with the ship's senior officers. Jake Morrison, the tactical officer, studied the sensor data with the intense focus that made him deadly in combat. Science officer Amy Powell ran calculations on her tablet, her forehead creased with concentration.
"Oh, the ship appears to be of
human origin," Amy announced, looking up from her work. "The basic design elements match old Earth construction methods, but that's impossible." Jake snorted with disbelief. "Humans were wiped out 40 years ago. We have detailed records of their final battles. Their last ships were destroyed trying to defend their home world." "The records are clear," Lisa agreed. "A dead rock after the Resistance War. No human settlements survived outside the solar system. We made sure of that." Amy pulled up historical files on her tablet. "According to our intelligence reports, the last human ship was destroyed on stardate 2387.4. The Empire conducted thorough sweeps of all former human colonies. We found nothing but empty buildings and abandoned equipment." Alex studied the sensor readings again. Something about the ship bothered him beyond its mysterious appearance. The vessel wasn't trying to hide, sat in open space, broadcasting standard identification signals. But those signals contained codes that predated the Empire's current systems by decades. Captain Alex said slowly, "This ship is using old Imperial communication protocols. Ones we stopped using 20 years ago." Lisa's eyes narrowed. "Would anyone outside the Empire know those codes?" "Maybe they've been watching us," Jake suggested grimly. "Learning our systems, studying our technology." Amy shook her head. "That would require intelligence gathering on a massive scale. Someone would have noticed ships or monitoring stations, unless they're very good at staying hidden," Alex pointed out. Lisa made her decision. "We're going to investigate." "Jake, prepare the shuttle bay for a diplomatic mission. Amy, I want a full analysis of that ship's technology before we get close." "Alex, send a standard first contact message and see if they respond." As the meeting broke up, Alex returned to his station and began composing the message. The Empire had protocols for dealing with unknown vessels, but they assumed the ships belonged to new species or lost colonies. This situation felt different. He typed the standard greeting into his communication system. Unknown vessel, this is the Imperial ship Stormwind. Please identify yourself and state your purpose in Empire space. The response came back almost immediately, and it made Alex's blood run cold. Imperial ship Stormwind. This is Commander Ryan Blake of the United Earth Sovereignty vessel Horizon. We have been waiting for you to arrive. Alex stared at the message for a full minute before hitting the emergency alert button. The bridge erupted in activity as officers rushed to their stations. Lisa appeared at his side within seconds. Did I read that correctly? She asked quietly. Yes, ma'am. They claim to represent Earth, and they say they were expecting us. Lisa's face had gone pale. That's impossible. Earth is dead. We saw it die. Maybe we saw what they wanted us to see. Alex suggested. The communication system chimed with another incoming message. This time, the voice of Commander Blake came through the speakers with crystal clarity. Captain Reynolds, I know you're listening. We need to talk. There are things about the war, about Earth's fate, that your empire never understood. Things that are about to change everything you think you know about the galaxy. Lisa looked around the bridge at her stunned crew. Every person present had grown up believing that humanity was extinct, that the Empire had witnessed the end of Earth's civilization. Now that fundamental truth was being challenged by a ship that shouldn't exist. Commander Blake, Lisa spoke. Into the communication system, this is Captain Lisa Reynolds. How do you know my name? Blake's laugh carried warmth that somehow made the situation more unsettling. Captain, we've been watching the Empire for a very long time. We know much. More than just your name. We know about your career, your ship, your crew. We know you're brave enough to seek the truth, even when it challenges everything you believe. Lisa felt the eyes of her crew upon her. Whatever happened next would change all their lives forever. She'd spent her entire career serving an empire that claimed to have brought peace to the galaxy by ending humanity's threat. Now she faced the possibility that everything she had fought for was built on a lie. Very well, Commander Blake, she said finally. We're prepared to meet. But I warn you, if this is some kind of deception, the Empire will respond with overwhelming force, Captain, Blake replied gently, when you see what we have to show you. You'll understand that the Empire's definition of overwhelming force may need to be reconsidered. Captain Lisa Reynolds stood in the shuttle bay checking her equipment one final time. The diplomatic mission to the human ship felt more dangerous than any combat operation she had ever undertaken. Beside her, Jake Morrison adjusted his sidearm, while Amy Powell carried scanning devices that might help them understand the impossible technology they were about to encounter. Remember, we're going in as representatives of the Empire, Lisa told her team. Stay alert, but don't show hostility unless they threaten us first. The shuttle ride to the human vessel took only 20 minutes, but it felt like hours. As they approached the ship called Horizon, Amy's scanners began picking up readings that made no sense. Captain, their hull is made from materials I can't identify, Amy reported. The metal composition doesn't match anything in our databases. It's like they developed completely new alloys. Jake peered out the shuttle window at the massive ship growing larger before them. Look at the size of those weapon ports. Those cannons are bigger than anything on our battleships. The Horizon's docking bay opened smoothly, revealing technology that made Imperial equipment look primitive. The bay's interior glowed with soft blue light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Automated systems guided their shuttle to a perfect landing without any input from their pilot. As they stepped out of the shuttle, 3 humans approached them. The man in the center wore a uniform that looked familiar yet different from anything Lisa had seen. His confident bearing and steady eyes marked him as a leader. Captain Reynolds, welcome aboard the Horizon, the man said with a slight smile. I'm Commander Ryan Blake. This is my first officer, Lieutenant Sophie Garcia, and our chief engineer, Dr. Kevin Walsh. Lisa studied the 3 humans carefully. They looked completely normal, but something about their calm confidence bothered her. They showed no surprise at meeting Imperial officers, as if this encounter had been planned for years. Commander Blake, I'll be direct, Lisa said. According to our records, humanity was destroyed 40 years ago. Yet here you are, commanding a ship that our best scientists can't understand. I need answers. Blake nodded thoughtfully. I expected directness from you, Captain. Your service record shows you value truth over comfortable lies. Very well. Let me show you something that will help explain our situation. He led them through corridors lined with technology that hummed quietly with power. The walls displayed information screens that seemed to respond to thought rather than touch. Dr. Walsh noticed Amy staring at the displays. Quantum interface technology, Walsh explained casually. The ship's computer reads neural patterns and responds accordingly. Much more efficient than manual controls. Amy's mouth fell open. That's impossible. Neural interface technology is purely theoretical. Our best researchers say it won't be practical for another century. Researchers have been working with limited understanding, Lieutenant Garcia said politely. We solved the quantum consciousness problem about 15 years ago. They entered a large room filled with star charts and tactical displays. Blake gestured to a massive screen showing the galaxy with thousands of red dots scattered throughout supposedly empty space. These represent human installations, Blake said simply. Colonies, research stations, manufacturing facilities, defensive platforms. We've been quite busy since our supposed extinction. Jake stared at the display in shock. The red dots covered areas of space that Imperial surveys had declared uninhabited. This can't be accurate. We've explored those regions. We found nothing. You found what we wanted you to find, Blake replied. Stealth technology has been a priority for our people. We learned to hide in plain sight. Lisa felt her understanding of the galaxy shifting beneath her feet. You're saying humanity has been operating secretly throughout Imperial space for 40 years? Not just operating, Captain? Thriving, growing, learning? Blake touched a control, and the display changed to show comparative technology charts. While the Empire focused on conquest and administration, we devoted our resources to scientific advancement. Dr. Walsh gestured to the charts showing human technology levels far exceeding Imperial capabilities. We've made breakthroughs in physics, engineering, medicine, and computer science. Our ships are faster, stronger, and more efficient than anything in the Imperial fleet. Amy looked at the data with growing amazement and fear. How is this possible? The Empire has the galaxy's best scientists working on these problems. The Empire scientists work within the limitations of Imperial thinking, Garcia explained. They follow established theories and approved research paths. We had the freedom to explore ideas that your institutions would consider impossible. Blake led them to another display showing power generation comparisons. Your fusion reactors operate at 12% efficiency. Ours achieve 87%. Your fastest ships take weeks to cross the galaxy. Ours make the journey in days. That's not possible, Jake protested. The laws of physics don't allow for that kind of efficiency. The laws of physics are more flexible than your scientists believe, Walsh said with a gentle smile. We've learned to work with quantum mechanics at the macro level. It opens up possibilities that Imperial science hasn't even imagined.
Lisa
struggled to process the implications of what she was seeing. If you have all this technology, all these advantages, why reveal yourselves now? Why not stay hidden? Blake's expression grew serious. Because the galaxy is about to change, Captain. The Empire believes it rules through strength, but true. Power comes from understanding. We're offering the Empire a choice. What kind of choice? Lisa asked, though she suspected she wouldn't like the answer. Partnership or irrelevance, Blake said simply. We can share our technology and knowledge, help the Empire grow into something better. Or we can continue operating independently, while the Empire slowly realizes it's no longer the dominant force in the galaxy. Garcia pulled up new displays showing human military capabilities. Ships that dwarfed Imperial battleships, weapons that could disable entire fleets without destroying them, defensive systems that made Imperial attacks useless. This isn't a threat, Captain, Garcia said. It's just the reality of our current situation. Humanity has grown beyond what the Empire destroyed 40 years ago. Amy studied the military data with growing alarm. You could defeat the Imperial fleet without significant losses. You could disable the Imperial fleet without firing a shot, Walsh corrected. Our defensive technology makes your weapons ineffective. Our ships can simply absorb your energy attacks and convert them to power our own systems. Lisa felt the weight of this revelation crushing down on her. Everything she had believed about Imperial supremacy was crumbling before her eyes. "Do you want from us?" "Understanding," Blake replied. "We want the Empire to recognize that the galaxy is big enough for both our civilizations. We can work together, share knowledge, explore the unknown regions beyond our current borders. And if the Empire refuses?" Jake asked grimly. Blake's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Then the Empire will discover that its age of dominance has quietly ended, while it wasn't paying attention. We won't conquer Imperial worlds, Captain. We don't need to. We'll simply continue growing while the Empire stagnates." Lisa looked around the room at technology that made her own ship seem like a primitive relic. The humans had achieved in 40 years what the Empire hadn't managed in 3 centuries. More disturbing still, they had done it while watching the Empire's every move. "How long have you been planning this?" she asked. "Since the day we left Earth," Blake answered. "We knew the Empire would never truly accept humanity as equals. So we decided to become something the Empire couldn't ignore or dismiss." The meeting continued for hours, with the humans demonstrating technology after technology that challenged Imperial understanding of science itself. When Lisa and her team finally returned to their shuttle, they carried with them the knowledge that everything they thought they knew about the galaxy was wrong. As they flew back to the Stormwind, Amy spoke the question that haunted all their thoughts. "Captain, what are we going to tell Imperial Command?" Lisa stared out at the massive human ship growing smaller behind them. "We're going to tell them the truth. Humanity never died. They just learned to hide while they became something we never expected." The shuttle docked with the Stormwind, but Lisa knew that her ship, her crew, and her entire civilization would never be the same again. Admiral Tony Mitchell sat in the emergency meeting room at Imperial Command, staring at the reports that had arrived from Captain Reynolds. The documents spread across the table painted a picture that challenged everything the Empire believed about itself and the galaxy. "This has to be some kind of mistake," Colonel Rachel Brooks said, shaking her head. "Humans don't have the ability to develop technology like this. We monitored their scientific progress for decades before the war." Dr. Peter Cross, the Empire's leading expert on alien biology and technology, looked up from his analysis of the sensor data. "The readings are consistent across all measurement systems. Either this is an elaborate deception involving technology we don't understand, or humanity has achieved scientific breakthroughs that make our civilization look primitive." Admiral Mitchell rubbed his temples, feeling a headache building behind his eyes. "Walk me through this again, Dr. Cross. How could humans advance this far without us detecting their presence?" "That's what worries me most," Cross replied, pulling up holographic displays of the human ship's specifications. "Their stealth technology operates on principles we haven't even theorized. They're not just hiding from our sensors, they're making our sensors ignore them entirely." Colonel Brooks studied the tactical analysis that Captain Reynolds had provided. According to this report, their weapons could disable our entire fleet without causing permanent damage. They have technology that converts our energy attacks into power for their own systems, which means they've been testing our weapons against their defenses, Admiral Mitchell realized with growing alarm. "Every military exercise we've conducted, every patrol route we've established, they've been watching and learning." Dr. Cross activated another holographic display showing comparative technology charts. "Look at these power generation figures. Our best fusion reactors achieve 12% efficiency. Their systems are running at nearly 90%. That level of improvement should take centuries to develop, unless they had help," Brooks suggested grimly. "What if they've been in contact with other advanced civilizations? Species we haven't discovered yet?" "Sensor analysis suggests otherwise," Cross said. "Their technology shows clear human design principles, but evolved far beyond what we thought possible. This isn't borrowed technology, it's genuinely human innovation." Admiral Mitchell stood and paced to the window overlooking the Imperial capital. Thousands of ships moved through the orbital traffic lanes, representing the military might that had kept peace in the galaxy for generations. Now that might seemed inadequate against an enemy they hadn't known existed. "What's the status on Captain Reynolds?" he asked. "She's still in communication with the human commander," Brooks replied. "They're sharing more information about their capabilities and their intentions. And what are their intentions? Cross consulted his notes from the latest communication. They claim they want to establish formal diplomatic relations. They're offering to share their technology in exchange for recognition as an equal power in galactic affairs. Equal power? Mitchell laughed bitterly. From what I'm reading there, the superior power. They could dictate terms to us if they wanted. Meanwhile, aboard the Horizon, Commander Blake was revealing more details to Captain Reynolds about humanity's true situation. They sat in a comfortable meeting room where the walls displayed images of human colonies that the Empire had never detected. The war 40 years ago wasn't our destruction, Blake explained calmly. It was our escape plan. We made it look like humanity was dying while our best ships evacuated millions of people to hidden colonies. Lisa stared at images of thriving human cities built inside asteroids and on planets that Imperial surveys had declared uninhabitable. You faked your own extinction? You staged it carefully, Blake confirmed. Every battle was designed to convince the Empire that humanity was being systematically destroyed. Your forces saw what we wanted them to see. Lieutenant Garcia joined the conversation, carrying data tablets filled with historical records. We knew the Empire would never accept humanity. As equals, your civilization was built on the idea that you were superior to all other species. Humans represented a threat to that belief. So you decided to disappear and let us think we had one, Lisa said, understanding dawning in her voice. We decided to use the Empire's arrogance against itself, Blake corrected.
Oh.
While your leaders celebrated the defeat of humanity, we were building a new civilization based on scientific advancement rather than military conquest. Dr. Walsh entered the room, carrying samples of human technology that made Imperial equipment look ancient. We focused all our resources on research and development. No military spending, no territorial expansion, just pure scientific progress. Lisa examined a device that Walsh claimed was a portable power generator capable of supplying energy to an entire city. How did you advance so quickly? Freedom Walsh answered simply. Imperial science operates within strict guidelines established by tradition and bureaucracy. Our researchers could explore any idea, no matter how radical or impossible it seemed. Blake activated a wall display showing the timeline of human scientific advancement since their supposed extinction. We developed quantum computing 20 years ago, controlled fusion 15 years ago, faster-than-light communication 10 years ago. Each breakthrough led to others. What about faster-than-light travel? Lisa asked. Our ships still take weeks to cross the galaxy. Hours make the journey in days, Garcia said proudly. We learned to manipulate space-time at the quantum level. Instead of pushing through space, we folded around our ships. Lisa felt overwhelmed. By the implications, if you can do all this, why reveal yourselves now? You could have stayed hidden indefinitely. Blake's expression grew serious, because hiding isn't sustainable forever. Our population is growing, our technology is advancing. And eventually the Empire would have detected us anyway. We decided it was better to reveal ourselves on our terms rather than be discovered by accident. Back at Imperial Command, Dr. Cross was reaching disturbing conclusions about human capabilities. Admiral, I've analyzed every piece of data we have about their technology. They're not just ahead of us in one or two areas. They're superior in every field of science. How is that possible? Admiral Mitchell demanded. They've been playing by different rules, Cross explained. While we've been maintaining an empire, they've been pushing the boundaries of what's scientifically possible. They've achieved things our theorists said were impossible. Colonel Brooks studied tactical projections that showed how a conflict with humanity might unfold. Sir, if these capability estimates are accurate, we couldn't win a war against them. Our weapons are useless against their defenses, and their ships are faster than anything in our fleet. What about our numerical advantage? Mitchell asked. We have thousands of ships throughout the galaxy. Numbers don't matter if their individual ships can disable dozens of hours without taking damage, Brooks replied grimly. According to Captain Reynolds' report, one human vessel could neutralize an entire Imperial battle group. Dr. Cross pulled up star charts showing the suspected locations of human installations. They've been operating throughout our territory for decades. They know our ship movements, our defensive positions, our communication protocols. They've had 40 years too. Study our weaknesses. Admiral Mitchell sank into his chair, feeling the weight of command heavier than ever before. Options? Diplomatic engagement seems to be our only realistic choice, Brooks said reluctantly. They're offering partnership rather than conquest. That suggests they're not interested in destroying the Empire. What they're interested in is irrelevant, Mitchell replied. What matters is that they have the power to destroy us if they choose. We're not negotiating from a position of strength. The horizon, Blake was explaining humanity's long-term vision to Captain Reynolds. We don't want to rule the galaxy, Captain. We want to explore it. There are entire regions beyond Imperial space that remain unexplored. New species to meet, new worlds to discover, new sciences to master. And the Empire? Lisa asked. The Empire can continue governing the territories it already controls, Blake said. We're offering to share our technology gradually, help Imperial science advance to new levels. In return, we want recognition and the freedom to explore without interference. Lisa understood the offer and its implications. You're proposing to become the senior partner in a relationship where the Empire thought it was the only power. Proposing to become partners with a civilization that has spent centuries believing it was alone at the top, Blake corrected. The galaxy is big enough for both our peoples, Captain. The question is whether the Empire is wise enough to accept that reality. As the meeting concluded, Lisa prepared to return to her ship with information that would shake the foundations of Imperial power. The Empire faced a choice between accepting a new reality or clinging to illusions that could no longer be sustained. The age of Imperial dominance was ending. Humanity was offering to help manage the transition rather than impose it by force. Emperor Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the assembled Imperial fleet through the massive viewing windows. 50 of the Empire's most advanced warships floated in perfect formation, their weapons powered and shields raised. The sight should have filled him with confidence, but the reports from Captain Reynolds made every display of Imperial might seem hollow. Your Majesty, the human vessel is approaching our position, reported Admiral Mitchell from his command station. They're broadcasting standard identification codes and requesting permission to begin the military exercise. Kane studied the approaching ship through his tactical displays. The human vessel, called Defiance, looked sleek and deadly, but it was only one ship against 50 Imperial warships. The exercise had been his idea. A way to demonstrate that the Empire's military superiority remained intact despite the humans' technological claims. Admiral Thompson is aboard that ship, Kane said grimly. He claims to be the commander of humanity's military forces. Tay will see if their boasts match their capabilities. Captain Danny Pierce commanded the Empire's newest destroyer, the Valiant, positioned at the front of the Imperial formation. His crew had trained for years to fight against superior numbers and advanced technology. Now they faced an enemy that claimed both advantages. All stations report ready for combat, Pierce announced to his bridge crew. Remember, this may be called an exercise, but we're representing the Empire's honor. I show them what Imperial training can accomplish. Commander Lisa Park led the Imperial fighter squadrons from her command ship. 200 of the Empire's best pilots waited for her orders. Their fighters equipped with the latest weapons and defensive systems. She had reviewed the tactical analysis of human capabilities and remained skeptical. No single ship can defeat this many opponents, she told her squadron leaders. Their technology might be advanced, but they still have to follow the basic rules of combat. We'll overwhelm them with coordinated attacks from multiple directions. Aboard the Defiance, Fleet Admiral Carl Thompson watched the Imperial preparations. With calm interest, the ship's sensors provided detailed information about every Imperial vessel, their weapons, their defensive capabilities, and their tactical weaknesses. Admiral, the Imperial fleet is taking attack positions, reported his tactical officer. 50 ships total, including their newest destroyers and fighter carriers. Thompson nodded thoughtfully. Open communications with Emperor Kane. Sure, he understands what he's about to witness. The Emperor's face appeared on the main screen, his expression stern and confident. Admiral Thompson, your ship is badly outnumbered. Are you certain you want to proceed with this demonstration? Your Majesty, I appreciate your concern, Thompson replied with a slight smile. But this exercise will help both our civilizations understand the current balance of power. Please, give your fleet permission to use their full capabilities. Kane's eyes narrowed. Very well. All Imperial ships, you are authorized to engage the human vessel with maximum firepower. Show them what the Empire's military can accomplish. Battle began with a coordinated assault that should have overwhelmed any single opponent.
Captain Pierce
led the destroyer attack, while Commander Park's fighters swarmed the human ship from all directions. Energy beams and missiles filled space as the Imperial fleet unleashed its full strength. The results shocked everyone watching. The human ship's shields absorbed the massive bombardment without showing any sign of strain. Every energy beam that struck the Defiance seemed to make its defensive systems stronger rather than weaker. Sir, our weapons are having no effect, Pierce reported to Admiral Mitchell. If anything, their shields are growing more powerful with each hit we land. Dr. Marie Collins, the Empire's chief weapons specialist, watched the battle from the command ship science station. Her instruments recorded energy readings that challenged everything she knew about defensive technology. Admiral, they're not just absorbing our attacks, she announced in amazement. They're converting our weapon energy into additional power for their own systems. Every shot we fire makes them stronger. The human ship began its counterattack with weapons that defied Imperial understanding of physics. Instead of destroying the Imperial vessels, the Defiance disabled them with surgical precision. One by one, Imperial ships found their weapons. Offline, their engines dead. Their shields collapsed. Captain Pierce watched in horror as his destroyer's systems shut down around him. All stations report total system failure. We're completely helpless. Commander Park's fighters suffered the same fate. Advanced Imperial technology became useless metal, drifting in space as human weapons neutralized every threat without causing permanent damage. How are they doing this? Park demanded of her technical officers. Our systems are designed to resist electronic warfare attacks. Ma'am, they're not using electronic warfare, her chief engineer replied with confusion. They're somehow manipulating our power systems at the quantum level. It's like they're telling our machines to stop working, and the machines are obeying. Within 30 minutes, the entire Imperial fleet floated helplessly in space, while the single human ship maintained perfect operational status. Emperor Kane stared at the tactical displays showing 50 disabled warships, his confidence shattered. Admiral Thompson, Kane spoke into the communication system, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. You've made your point. Our weapons are ineffective against your defenses. Thompson's image appeared on the screen again, his expression sympathetic but firm. Your Majesty, I want you to understand that the Defiance is considered outdated by current human standards. Our newest ships make this vessel look primitive. The words hit the Imperial leadership like physical blows. Dr. Collins checked her readings again, hoping she had made some mistake in her analysis. Admiral, if this ship is outdated, then humanity's current military capability is beyond our ability to measure. Admiral Mitchell studied the tactical situation with growing despair. Sir, we need to consider the possibility that military opposition to humanity is not feasible. They've demonstrated technological superiority that makes conventional warfare meaningless. Thompson continued his explanation while Imperial engineers worked frantically to restore their ship's systems. We've been observing Imperial military exercises for decades. We know your tactics, your weapons, your defensive strategies. This exercise used technology that we developed 15 years ago. What are you trying to tell us? Kane demanded. That? The balance of power in this galaxy has shifted permanently, Thompson replied. Humanity is no longer the weaker civilization that you defeated 40 years ago. We're offering partnership because we choose to, not because we need to. Captain Pierce managed to restore partial power to his destroyer and rejoined the communication. Link, Admiral Thompson. How many ships does humanity possess with capabilities like yours? Captain, we currently operate over 300 vessels with technology superior to what you've seen today, Thompson answered calmly. Our shipyards produce new vessels monthly, each more advanced than the last. The implications sank in throughout the Imperial fleet. Humanity possessed a military force that could disable the entire Imperial Navy without significant effort. The Empire's thousands of ships, millions of personnel, and centuries of military tradition had become irrelevant overnight. Dr. Collins completed her analysis of the human technology and transmitted her report to Emperor Kane. Your Majesty, humanity has achieved mastery over fundamental forces that we barely understand. They can manipulate matter and energy at levels that make our technology look like primitive tools. Commander Park worked to restart her fighters while contemplating the tactical situation. If they wanted to conquer the Empire, they could do it without firing a shot. Just disable every Imperial ship and occupy our worlds at their leisure. Thompson seemed to read her thoughts. Commander Park, conquest was never our goal. We're explorers and scientists, not conquerors. We revealed our capabilities to establish honest diplomatic relations, not to threaten the Empire. Emperor Kane found himself facing a choice he had never imagined making. The Empire could accept humanity's offer of partnership, acknowledging their technological superiority and working toward mutual cooperation. Or they could refuse and face the reality of becoming a secondary power in their own galaxy. Admiral Thompson, what exactly are humanity's terms for this partnership? Kane asked, knowing he was negotiating from a position of complete weakness. Simple recognition that the galaxy contains two major powers rather than one, Thompson replied. We want the freedom to explore, research, and expand without Imperial interference. In return, we'll share our knowledge gradually and help the Empire advance to new levels of scientific achievement. As Imperial engineers slowly restored power to their disabled ships, Kane realized that the age of Imperial dominance had ended. Humanity offered cooperation rather than conquest, but the choice was ultimately theirs to make. The Empire could adapt to this new reality or be left behind as humanity continued advancing toward horizons that Imperial science couldn't even imagine. The exercise had ended, but its implications would reshape galactic civilization forever. Commander Ryan Blake stood on the observation deck of the horizon, watching as dozens of human ships emerged from what the Empire had thought was empty space. Each vessel dwarfed the largest Imperial battleships, their sleek designs showcasing technology that made the demonstration against the Imperial fleet look like a gentle warning. The exploration fleet has arrived, announced Lieutenant Sophie Garcia as she joined Blake at the massive viewing windows. Fleet Admiral Thompson sends his compliments and reports that all vessels are ready for integration protocols. Blake nodded, studying the Imperial capital world spinning slowly below them. Millions of beings lived on that planet, most of them unaware that their civilization's place in the galaxy had changed forever. Any word from Emperor Kane? Has requested another meeting, Garcia replied. The Imperial Council has been in emergency session for 3 days. They're struggling to accept the new reality. The past week had transformed the galaxy's political landscape completely. News of humanity's return had spread throughout Imperial space, causing reactions that ranged from panic to celebration. Some worlds that had chafed under Imperial rule saw humanity as potential liberators, while others feared the collapse of the only government they had ever known. Captain Lisa Reynolds had become the Empire's primary liaison with humanity, working closely with Blake to establish new diplomatic protocols. She sat in the conference room aboard her ship, reviewing reports from across Imperial territory with Lieutenant Commander Steve Miller and diplomatic attaché Helen Rodriguez. The Outer colonies are requesting immediate protection from humanity, Miller reported. They're afraid that humans will seek revenge for the events 40 years ago. The core worlds are demanding military action, Rodriguez added. They can't accept that the Empire is no longer the dominant power in the galaxy. Reynolds studied the intelligence reports that painted a picture of an empire in crisis. What's Blake's position on Imperial territorial integrity? He's made it clear that humanity has no interest in conquering Imperial worlds, Miller replied. They want recognition and cooperation, not submission. Blake entered the Imperial Palace for his meeting with Emperor Kane, accompanied by the delegation that included Dr. Kevin Walsh and Captain Nick Carter, commander of one of humanity's newest exploration vessels. The palace's ancient architecture spoke of centuries of imperial power. But Blake knew that power had become largely symbolic. Emperor Kane waited in his private study, flanked by Admiral Mitchell and Colonel Brooks. The stress of the past week showed clearly on their faces as they grappled with the end of everything they had believed about imperial supremacy. Commander Blake Kane began formally. The Imperial Council has reviewed your proposals. We're prepared to discuss terms for coexistence. Blake took a seat across from the Emperor, his expression serious but not hostile. Your Majesty, I want to be clear about humanity's intentions. We're not here to replace the Empire or conquer your territories. We're here to establish our rightful place as equals in galactic civilization. Equals. Colonel Brooks said bitterly, your ships could destroy our entire fleet without taking damage. That doesn't sound like equality to me. Military superiority doesn't equal the desire for conquest, Dr. Walsh interjected calmly. Humanity learned harsh lessons about the costs of warfare. We prefer scientific advancement to military expansion. Kane leaned forward, his eyes intense. What do you want from us? Recognition of human sovereignty over the territories we've already settled, Blake replied. Freedom to explore regions beyond current imperial borders. And gradual sharing of scientific knowledge that will benefit both our civilizations. Admiral Mitchell consulted his notes. Our intelligence suggests you've established installations throughout Imperial space. How do we know you won't use those positions to threaten our security? Captain Carter spoke for the first time. Admiral, those installations are research stations and communication relays, not military bases. We've been studying the galaxy's natural phenomena, not preparing for war against the Empire. The negotiations continued for hours as both sides worked to establish a framework for coexistence. Blake demonstrated humanity's commitment to peaceful relations by sharing technological specifications that could improve Imperial infrastructure and quality of life. Meanwhile, throughout Imperial space, the news of humanity's return created unprecedented changes. Science Director Dr. Laura Baker worked with Imperial researchers to introduce concepts that challenged their understanding of physics and engineering. Your fusion reactors are operating far below their theoretical potential, Baker explained. To a gathering of Imperial scientists, with minor modifications based on quantum field manipulation, you could increase efficiency by 300%. The Imperial scientists struggled to comprehend principles that humanity had mastered decades earlier. Dr. Kroos, who had analyzed the initial human technology samples, found himself learning from beings he had once considered extinct. How did you develop quantum consciousness interfaces? Kroos asked during one of the technical exchanges. Our best theorists say such technology is impossible. Your theorists are working within the limitations of classical physics, Baker replied patiently. Once you understand that consciousness itself operates on quantum principles, the interface becomes a matter of engineering rather than theory. As the weeks passed, humanity's integration into galactic affairs proceeded with careful precision. Fleet Admiral Thompson established communication protocols that allowed human and Imperial forces to coordinate their activities without conflict. Lieutenant James Brown, serving as Thompson's aide, coordinated the deployment of human exploration fleets to regions beyond Imperial borders. Sir, the deep space surveys have identified 17 systems with potentially habitable worlds. The science teams are requesting permission to establish research colonies, approved, Thompson replied. Make sure the Empire receives copies of all survey data. We want to demonstrate that our exploration benefits everyone. The transformation affected every level of Imperial society. Worlds that had struggled with resource shortages suddenly had access to human technology that could solve their problems. Energy production improved dramatically as Imperial engineers learned to apply human innovations to their existing systems. Emperor Kane found himself governing an empire that was rapidly becoming something entirely different. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained imperial power for centuries was adapting to accommodate a partnership with beings who possessed capabilities that seemed almost magical. "The people are calling it the New Galactic Order," Kane told his advisors during a private meeting. "Humanity offers advancement and prosperity, while we provide stability and established governance. It could work if we can accept our new role," Admiral Mitchell added reluctantly. "We're no longer the supreme power in the galaxy, but we're still important to its functioning." Blake concluded the formal negotiations with agreements that established humanity as a recognized galactic power with equal status to the Empire. The signing ceremony took place aboard the human flagship Endeavour, witnessed by representatives from dozens of worlds. "Today marks the beginning of a new era," Blake announced to the assembled delegates. "Humanity returns not as conquerors, but as partners in exploring the infinite possibilities that await us among the stars." Captain Reynolds watched the ceremony with mixed emotions. Her career had been built on serving an empire that believed itself supreme in the galaxy. Now she served a civilization that was learning to share power with beings who had once been considered distinct enemies. As the human exploration fleets departed for the unknown regions beyond imperial space, carrying technology and knowledge that would reshape galactic civilization, Blake stood on the bridge of the horizon and looked out at the stars. "Lieutenant Brown," he said quietly, "send a message to all human colonies. Tell them we're no longer in hiding. Tell them it's time to take our place in the galaxy we never really left." The galaxy had entered a new age where two great civilizations would work together to explore mysteries that neither could solve alone. Humanity had returned not through conquest, but through the patient demonstration that true power came from knowledge, wisdom, and the courage to reach for impossible dreams. The Empire would continue to govern its territories, but now it would do so as part of a larger community that included beings who had learned to turn science fiction into reality. The age of imperial dominance was over, but the age of galactic cooperation had just begun.